gonna take a look at the minor 7 flat 5 pentatonic scale. I was introduced to that scale when I used this book, the Pentatonics by Bergonzi. He talks about this scale. So it's really useful, especially over Lydian chords or major 7 sharp 11 chords. Because of that, we can use it perfectly over inner urge. So I have talked about the tune Inner Urge before. I have made videos about that classic Joe Henderson tune, and it's a tricky one. So this pentatonic can help us to get through that tune when we're improvising, and can give you some new ideas if you haven't used this scale before, perhaps. Then later on in the video, I'm gonna give you a little trick that you can use to get through the last section of the tunes. There's a whole bunch of major chords moving really fast, right? So there's this idea I got from another YouTube video. I'm gonna link to that video where this guy, Lucas, I think his name is, talks about a really interesting technique to use, how you can use pentatonics to make it a little bit easier to play over those changes. So I'm gonna link to that video, but I also have my own take on it. My take on it is a little bit different. So we shall see what that is. And then also I will give you a concept that is based on Tim Miller's ideas. So it's a way of creating kind of modern sounding arpeggios from pentatonics. So all this and more. Let's go. So first off, what is this scale? Well, it's just what it sounds like. A minor pentatonic. We drop the 5th to a flat 5. So I'm assuming that you all know all the shapes of the pentatonic scale, right? Should be 5. So you just practice all of them with the dropped 5th. So some of these fingerings might be a little bit awkward, but we're gonna stick to the kind of idea of playing 2 notes per string. Which we normally do when we play a pentatonic scale, right? You might say that I would rather play it here, like you do when you play a blues scale, but no, I'm gonna get back to that, why we don't want to do it. We want to stay to 2 notes per string. We want to stick to that. Even if the fingerings are awkward. So this is not the blues scale. Don't get those things confused. This is a pentatonic scale, right? So you learn all the positions. I like this one. If I start on the A here, then it will give you that Lydian. You'll see why it works over a Lydian chord. Sorry. Okay, so it's a minor 3rd, if we're in A, a 4th, flat 5, flat 7. So this obviously works over different chords. It obviously works over a minor 7 flat 5 chord. So for example, if I have a 2-5 in A minor, let's say, so B minor 7 flat 5 to E altered to A minor. Let's say I make a loop like that. I can play B minor flat 5 pentatonic over the first chord, right? Obviously. And then just move that up a minor 3rd to the E altered. To D. F sharp. pretty cool sound, right? So you want to make sure that you're not just moving the same shape around. You want to learn all the different shapes so you go to the closest one and all that stuff, right? So it works over minor 7 flat 5 chords. It works over any chord more or less, but it really works great over the Lydian chord. So the major 7 sharp 11 chord. So let's say I have a, let's say, C major sharp 11 chord. I'll make a little loop here. We would play a F sharp minor 7 flat 5 pentatonic. But you start on C. I think you can all agree that that sounds pretty cool. If you watch my video on Inner Urge, you remember that I talked about the major 7 flat 5 arpeggio and how that tune is all about that arpeggio. Technically it's a sharp 11. So this pentatonic scale, pentatonic is 5 notes, right? And a 4-note arpeggio. So just one more note. It's just we're adding a A to this arpeggio, kind of. If you want to think about it that way. Now we need to learn some patterns, maybe just play 4 notes. A 4-note sequence. I like to anticipate the rhythm. Sounds less patterny as opposed to like. And if you have worked from that Bergonzi book, you know that there's all these patterns. So if I do that with a regular A minor pentatonic, that's why you want to keep the fingerings the same, because then all you do is just change that note to the flat 5. Then you just move it back to the shape we were in. So if you don't know any pentatonic patterns, you can always get the Bergonzi book. Remember, if you watch my previous Inner Urge video, you know that I mentioned that when you play the first chord, which is an F sharp minor 7 flat 5, you can think C Lydian, right? So here we're gonna kind of do the opposite. We're gonna, when we see a Lydian chord, we're gonna transpose it to a minor 7 flat 5 to find that pentatonic. So now I'm gonna take the first half of the tune, I guess, the first, the A section, I guess it is, of Inner Urge, make a little loop here. Not too fast, I'm gonna keep it human. sharp minor 7 flat 5. just kind of using this scale to create new sounds, hopefully, over this tune. One more thing I want to mention before we move on to the trick I promised to show you, and that is that if we rearrange the notes, or rather if we start on a different note, if we take the F sharp minor, for example, the F sharp minor 7 flat 5 pentatonic. So to create a Lydian sound, we start on the C. Same 5 notes starting on C. Now, let's say we start on B. We get a Phrygian sound. So, you know, the major 7 flat 5 chord. C in the bass, it's a Lydian chord. B in the bass, it's a Phrygian chord. So if I start on B, I get that. And listen closely. What does that make you think of? It makes you maybe think of, it sounds Japanese. So in Japanese music, they use a lot of pentatonics. And I think this specific scale is called incen. So I'm not an ethnomusicologist. This is not my area of expertise. So I can't give you the whole theory around that. So is that useful? Yeah, I think it is. So if I have a Phrygian chord, that's cool because it kind of helps you get a feel for the sound. It gives you I've talked about that before as well when I talked about the Lydian flat 7 scale, that if you can find some kind of feeling to kind of relate to the sound, to the scale, it helps you remember it, it helps you recognize it, it gives you some kind of meaning. So I think it's helpful, especially for if you're a composer, right? It's really helpful to know this kind of stuff. And I think it's part of being a jazz musician that you want to explore stuff. You want to explore music, world music, and different cultures. It's part of what we do in jazz these days. So, and with new sounds, that could actually be a really old sound too. But it's new in the context of jazz, perhaps. But I know that jazz musicians are into this kind of stuff. And even I've seen heavy metal guitar players talk about this stuff because they like scales, right? It also really helps for teaching. If you're like me, you're a teacher, it can spark an interest in the student so that it's not just a theoretical concept, like, yeah, it's 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5. It's like, what is that? Just some thing some professor at Berkeley came up with or something. No, this is an actual sound that is connected to a culture and all that. So, you know, go check out some Japanese music. Why not? Let's put those pentatonics aside and talk about the last section of the tune. So we have these tricky major 7 chords moving in a kind of a cycle. Right? Then he breaks up the cycle with 2 other chords. But that is a very tricky chord progression to solo over. It's really easy to fall into the kind of where you just kind of play. Which is totally fine. You can do that and the melody kind of sounds like that, but you want to be able to break away from that and do anything you want. If you have seen or heard Kurt Rosenwinkel play of this tune, he plays this tune quite a lot, and you can see that he's really, it seems effortless to kind of, for him to move around these changes. So I found this really interesting video where the saxophone player shows a little trick how to get through these changes using regular pentatonics. So here I'll make a little loop with these chords. So what you can do is the first chord, E. This is what he did. So he'll play in C sharp minor pentatonic, which is an E major pentatonic. It's not the best pentatonic to use over a Lydian chord, but it totally works. Plus these changes are moving so quick, so now the next chord is a D flat. That you can use a C minor pentatonic or E flat major pentatonic, which is a half step down. Now we have a D major, then you play a B minor pentatonic, just a half step down. I think you get the idea. And then half step down. B flat minor or A sharp minor over the B Lydian. Then A minor over the C major, and then G sharp minor over the A major. So that sounds like this. So that can really help, and it's a great idea. But the problem, though, for guitar players is this: we're just playing. We always want to get away from that, moving the same fingering, just, you know, half step. It sounds really bad if you just. It's totally different for a sax player, right? Because every time it's a different fingering. But we fall in this trap of just moving a shape. So a great exercise would be to do the opposite. The chords are kind of moving down. The pentatonic scales are moving down. So you want to move up. That could be a great thing to work on. Now, I like that, but it made me think of something else that I find even more helpful. So the first chord is an E major, which is kind of C sharp minor. Next chord is D flat major, which is C sharp major. So it's kind of like you're going from C sharp Dorian to C sharp Lydian, and then B Dorian to B Lydian, A Dorian to A Lydian, and then the cycle is kind of broken. So C sharp minor to C sharp major, B minor to B major. For me, it seems easier to think like that, and it's easier to hear. You can even make a loop with those chords. If you want to make it really easy for yourself, you make the chords longer. So almost sounds like smooth jazz or something. It's a totally different feel, but it's actually the same harmony. So then you practice like that, and then when you get used to that, you go back to the regular changes and see if it has helped. Hopefully it has. Okay, so that was his tip and then my tip. So we have looked at the minor 7 flat 5 pentatonic scale that I got from Jerry Bergonzi's book Pentatonics. and how we can use it over Inner Urge to create a different sound that we maybe haven't tried before. And then I talked about the kind of connection to Japanese music and Japanese pentatonics. And then this little tip. Now I want to leave you with one more thing, and that is a Tim Miller concept. So Tim Miller is a guitarist, and I'm pretty sure he's a Berklee instructor. I could be wrong about that, but he is an unbelievable guitar player. Before I say anything else, I'm not a super big fan of his music, to be perfectly honest. His albums, they're good, but when you see him play in his videos, he has a few YouTube videos. There's especially one where he plays kind of like almost classical guitar. He plays kind of, I don't know what he's doing. It's triads and counter motion and all this stuff. I have to say, it's like the most ridiculous guitar playing I have seen. It's really up there, like absolute world-class guitar playing for sure. So definitely check out Tim Miller if you haven't already. So he has a bunch of stuff online, so I'm not gonna give you the stuff because it's his idea. I'll give you the link to his video so you can find his online lessons and stuff. It's pretty easy to find. But I'll give you a brief idea of what it is he talks about. For example, he talks about a lot of things, but one thing he talks about is a 2-1-2-1-2-1 pattern. So if you take a pentatonic scale, we take the A minor pentatonic. I can play 2 notes. Next string I play 1 note. 2 notes. 1. 2 notes. 1. Right, so that's it's kind of like an arpeggio, I guess. But it's not a generic arpeggio like a specific chord. It's random. Then you do that with all the positions. He has this specific technique that he uses to combines legato and hybrid picking, which I can't even, not even close to be able to do, so I don't do that. Okay, so now let's try that with the minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, the same thing I just did. Really makes you think. So this is what I want to get the last one here, or it's the second last. So 2 notes, 1 note, 2 notes, 1. You get these 4th shapes. So this is a kind of an arpeggio. Some people ask me, how do you play these modern sounding arpeggios like Jonathan Kreisberg and those guys? And I don't know. I don't know, but this is definitely a modern sounding arpeggio, and I mean Tim Miller is a very modern sounding guitarist. So that could be a Lydian arpeggio. I love that arpeggio. Let's do that over the last chords of Inner Urge. So you see that I really have to think, and this is, I'm not ready for this, like I have to work on this more, so. But you can see the potential there for really interesting, cool arpeggios, right? So I hope that helped. I'm not gonna give you the tabs and stuff like that and put on my Patreon because it feels wrong, because I didn't come up with this, right? It's Tim Miller's idea, so So I recommend you go to his website and find his stuff if you're interested in that. Please let me know if you check out his tutorials and what you think. Yeah, so that was it, and I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you so much for your time and attention. One more thing before I leave you, and that is I'm not posting classical guitar stuff on this channel anymore because it kind of slows down the traffic or the algorithms of YouTube, because people seem to come to my channel to watch tutorials and jazz related stuff. So I have started a new YouTube channel with my classical performance stuff, so you can find that here. And if you like my classical playing, you want to hear more of that, you can go there, and please, that would be great, because I think I have 2 subscribers at this point. So, but I really enjoy playing classical guitar too, so I'm not gonna post as often there, but every now and then. So yeah, that was it. Thank you for your time and attention. See you next